Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to Nine Nar Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. The Fifth Risk by Michael Lewis is a work of narrative journalism that explores what happens when the everyday machinery of government is ignored, misunderstood, or deliberately hollowed out. Instead of focusing on election drama, Lewis follows the less visible arenas where public servants manage hazards that rarely make headlines until something goes wrong. He examines the transition period after the 2016 U.S. presidential election and uses it as a lens to show how institutional knowledge, scientific expertise, and administrative competence protect lives and livelihoods. The book moves through major federal departments, highlighting the quiet complexity behind tasks like safeguarding nuclear materials, monitoring extreme weather, overseeing food systems, and supporting energy infrastructure. Lewis also profiles career officials whose work is technical, mission-driven, and often politically invisible. By connecting these roles to tangible outcomes, he makes the case that neglecting governance creates risks that are easy to miss, hard to reverse, and potentially catastrophic when they finally surface. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, the hidden architecture of government and why it matters. A central theme is that effective government is largely invisible because its success looks like nothing happening. Lewis draws attention to the systems that quietly reduce harm, stabilize markets, and prevent disasters, arguing that the public often notices agencies only when they fail. He explains how complex mandates translate into operational routines such as standards, inspections, forecasting, procurement, data collection, and emergency planning. These routines depend on specialized expertise and institutional memory that can take decades to build, but can be degraded quickly through vacancies, dismissiveness toward experts, or leadership that does not understand the mission. The book emphasizes that the most consequential work is frequently done far from cameras by civil servants who cannot easily summarize their value in slogans. By showing the chain from technical decisions to real-world outcomes, it reframes government not as an abstract political battleground, but as a set of risk management functions. The result is a clearer view of why competence, continuity, and respect for evidence are not partisan luxuries but prerequisites for safety and prosperity. Secondly, presidential transitions as a stress test for national safety. Lewis uses the post-election transition as a stress test that reveals how fragile governance can become when incoming leadership is unprepared, uninterested, or distrustful of the institutions it is inheriting. He describes the transition process as an urgent handoff in which experienced officials brief new appointees about threats, capabilities, and ongoing responsibilities. When those briefings are delayed, skipped, or treated as performative, the risk does not stay theoretical. Critical programs may lose direction, budgets may be misread, and key roles may remain unfilled, leaving agencies unable to respond quickly to emerging problems. The book highlights how the absence of qualified leadership can distort decision-making lower down the chain, as staff wait for guidance or hesitate to act without cover. It also underscores that transitions are not merely political rituals, but operational necessities, especially in departments that manage long-tail hazards that are always present. The broader lesson is that peaceful transfers of power require not only elections, but also competence and curiosity about the machinery being transferred. Thirdly, energy and nuclear stewardship as a constant, high-stakes responsibility. One of the book's most striking areas involves the Department of Energy and the public misunderstanding of what it actually does. Lewis focuses on how the department's portfolio includes stewardship of nuclear materials and related national security responsibilities alongside energy research and infrastructure concerns. This combination creates a domain where mistakes can have outsized consequences, from safety failures to strategic vulnerabilities. He shows how specialized knowledge is required to manage laboratories, oversee complex supply chains, maintain safeguards, and plan for scenarios that cannot be rehearsed publicly. The narrative highlights the gap between political rhetoric and operational reality, where incoming teams may not know which programs are central, which are highly sensitive, and which are legally constrained. Lewis also stresses that effective stewardship depends on continuity, clear lines of authority, and trust in technical expertise. The topic illustrates the larger argument that some risks are prevented only by sustained competence, and that dismantling capacity in the name of disruption can create hazards that are difficult to detect until they are already unfolding. Fourthly, data, forecasting, and the economics of early warning. Lewis highlights the role of federal data and forecasting as a public good that markets often will not provide at the necessary scale. Weather prediction, climate and atmospheric monitoring, and broader environmental data systems reduce uncertainty for everything from disaster preparedness to agriculture, shipping, insurance, and local infrastructure planning. The book emphasizes that these capabilities are not just scientific achievements, but operational pipelines that require funding, staffing, maintenance, and interagency coordination. When leadership treats data collection as optional, politicizes scientific work, or strips agencies of expertise, the harm can be indirect yet widespread. Worse forecasts, slower warnings, and poorer decisions by governments and businesses downstream. Lewis frames early warning as an economic multiplier, where small investments in measurement and analysis can prevent enormous losses. He also illustrates how the value of accurate forecasting is often underappreciated because the benefit is dispersed across society while the cost is concentrated in agency budgets. The underlying point is that evidence-based governance is not ideological. It is a practical approach to reducing avoidable damage. Lastly, the morale and mission of civil servants in a politicized era, beyond systems and policies. Lewis gives attention to the people who make government function and what happens to them when their work is demeaned or ignored. He portrays career officials as mission-driven specialists who often stay through multiple administrations because the work is meaningful and the stakes are real. The book examines how morale, retention, and recruitment are affected by leadership that questions expertise, leaves positions vacant, or treats agencies as enemies. This is not presented as workplace drama, but as a practical risk. When experienced staff depart, institutional memory evaporates, training pipelines weaken, and agencies become less able to anticipate and respond to threats. Lewis also shows that many public servants do not have natural constituencies defending them because their successes are preventative and therefore invisible. The discussion points to a broader civic challenge. Democratic accountability requires the public to understand what agencies do well enough to demand competence. In this frame, protecting the integrity of the civil service is part of protecting national resilience. In conclusion, the fifth risk is best for readers who want to understand how government affects daily life beyond elections and partisan conflict, including policy-minded citizens, students, journalists, and professionals in fields that rely on public data and safety systems. It can benefit a reader's life by sharpening risk awareness. You come away seeing how food safety, disaster preparedness, energy reliability, and national security depend on unglamorous work done by experts and managers. That perspective helps readers evaluate political claims more critically and recognize that competence and continuity are forms of protection, not bureaucracy for its own sake. Compared with similar political books that focus on personalities or campaign strategy, Lewis offers a durable framework: follow the incentives, follow the systems, and examine the handoffs where failure is most likely. His strength is translating technical domains into accessible stories without treating them as mere trivia. The book is worth buying because it expands civic literacy in a way that remains relevant across administrations, and because it makes the costs of neglect concrete, showing how invisible safeguards become visible only after they break. If you would like to support Michael Lewis, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.